Welcome back to the Reframing Regulation series. Stephanie and I are both behavior specialists with the Pyramid Pieces Behavior Support Network. And today we want to talk about environments that support young children in learning to self-regulate. We know that there's lots of pieces to a classroom that are important to young children and helping them feel safe. We know that we need a daily schedule that's posted so children can follow what's happening throughout the day. We know that we need to have our transitions and our routines pre-planned so children know how to move from one activity into the next. And we also need to have our behavior expectations and classroom rules posted so that children know what kind of behavior is expected in a classroom or an early learning environment. And we have these things up and we refer to them throughout the day, and we support them with visual reminders because young children don't process everything auditorily. They need to see things too. Young children especially think in pictures. So we want to provide pictures of what all of these things look like. And when we do that, that helps a young child's brain feel safe. And when a young child's brain feels safe, their emotions are often very regulated and they are calm. So we really want to talk about what else do we need to be doing. And I like to refer back to Fred Rogers has a quote that I like to read, and it's, when we can talk about our feelings, they become less overwhelming, less upsetting, and less scary. The people we trust with that important talk help us to know that we're not alone. And so we want to talk about creating that space where children aren't alone, where we're there to help them talk about their feelings and help them work through this and help them self-regulate. And so this space helps children go from angry to calm, helps them go from unregulated to regulated. And that's what self-regulation is all about. And so it goes by many different names. I've heard it called a safe space. Steph, what have you heard it called?
I've heard it called a quiet area, a calming corner, calming space. There's so many names. And one of the biggest things I talk to families and programs about, and anyone who's helping a child, is when you have that space, make sure whatever you choose to call it, it's the same throughout your program, throughout your classrooms, and for that family that's attached to that. Because for young children, what we do know is they need a consistent name and space so that they know what to do where, and we all call it the same thing. That's really an important piece of this. So whatever you choose to call it, just making sure as a program that's something that is in unison throughout.
And let's talk about what this space looks like. This space can be in a quiet area of your home or a classroom, and it's small in size. This is a place for a child to work on self-regulation, so big enough for one child and that adult who can help them in that center. So this might be a box, it might be a laundry basket, it might be a space away from the activity, whatever that looks like. And you're going to have certain materials in there that are going to support children's learning, just like you would set up your block area and you would set up your dramatic play area with certain types of materials, and you would have certain goals in mind of the types of things they're going to learn. Let's talk about the materials that go into one of these calming centers and the skills that we want children to learn. So one thing you're going to see in there is feeling faces, and we've attached some feeling faces in our tip sheet that you can download and use. But we have feeling faces because it's really important to validate children's feelings first before we do anything. Validate how they're feeling. There are no feelings that are wrong. It's what we do with those feelings. And how we set up this center is how children learn what to do with those feelings. So feeling faces, and the younger the child, the fewer feeling faces you're going to have. As children get older, you can go beyond just mad, sad, and happy, and you can add more types of emotions there. Also, we're going to have, some books about feeling faces. And, we like to say, make your own books, take pictures of the kids, put those together in there and let that be in that space. Or you might have some scripted stories, and Tucker Turtle comes to mind. And so we have included copies of Tucker Turtle for home, Tucker Turtle for the classroom, because we want both of those to come together and support that child's learning. But we also have a Tucker Turtle video from Head Start, because some children might respond to videos more than they're responding to books right now. And so we want a variety of materials in there to support the child, as well as we want actual materials that teach children how to calm, how to let their emotions out. So I think of a stress ball. You might have stress balls in there where children can squeeze when they're angry. Steph, what are other materials you see in these
Sure.
spaces that help support
Um,
children?
One great thing I've seen is having a clipboard with some paper and crayons. So if a child can draw to calm themselves, um, in a previous video we did, the Just Breathe created a glitter shake bottle. You can buy them, but you can make those with just getting like an empty water bottle and put some materials inside. So the glitter, you shake it up. So when it settles, it's kind of a good way to practice some breathing and making sure those expectations are posted in that area of what you want them to do. What are the choices that they can do while they're there so they can see a picture of it as well? So a picture of the story, a picture of the sensory toy, a picture of the things, because those are the choices that are safe and okay. And so we're teaching those child what we cannot do to hurt others or themselves or to keep safe and what they can do. So those are important pieces that I've found over time.
And we want to have a variety of things in there. Um, we know that children aren't always ready to use this quiet area, this calming area. They might have big emotions. With those big emotions, they have lots of energy. And so we want to have some movement spaces available. And that might be something as simple as having a picture of two hands on the wall where they can push against it and really work on pushing out that high energy, or you might have some bands there that they can hold, and they can, those exercise bands where they can pull on them and they can pull out that frustration and match that high energy with choices and movement for them. And so they get that big energy out, and then we can slowly filter them into using that quiet space in a more intentionally focused way. And we have a video from Conscious Discipline that shows a beautiful way to use materials. You don't have to buy materials, you can make some of these materials. Um, and just helping children work through the emotions and the energy level in their body. Because if we try to send a child who's got that big emotion over to this quiet area, it's going to feel punitive to them. Their brain is not ready to use that space yet, and it's going to feel like a timeout. So we want to avoid that by matching children's energy and bringing them there together. I also like to say, we often have set up these spaces, but what if they're not used, or what are some of the things that happen in those spaces? I'll share a story. When I was a young teacher, I went into a classroom and they had this beautiful space. It was two bookshelves put together, and it was very beautiful. There was a carpet, there was pillows, there was tulle with ivy and lights in it. And I was like, oh, that's really, a place I'd like to go. And there were four pictures up there. There was a picture of a star, a balloon, a faucet, and a pretzel. And I watched this classroom and I never saw any notice of it. And I'm like, hi, I'm not really sure what this space is. And I was asking myself, well, if I'm thirsty, is that where I go to ask for a drink? Or if I'm hungry, do I go and get a pretzel there? Well, what it was a conscious discipline breathing tools. So the balloon was a balloon breath. And so you go, you blow yourself up like a balloon and you let that energy out. The faucet was not a place to ask for a drink. It was a breathing motion where you put your arms out, you squeeze your body really tight, all that tension, tension, tension in your body, and then you slowly drain it. And so that spigot was the drain, the energy part. And then the pretzel wasn't to ask for something to eat. It was actually a motion where you cross over your arms, you turn them in, and you roll them back out. I can't do that very well, so I modify it and I say, give yourself a pretzel squeeze. And so you cross your arms over, and that hug yourself, and that deep pressure often young children find calming. And so that's what we do. And so those were breathing techniques, but I didn't see it referred to at any point during the day, and I didn't see any children use it. So when we set these things up, we want to be intentionally teaching these skills and teaching it throughout the day. So you might teach it at large group, you might teach it at small group, or you might teach it just to that child who needs help accessing it. And then you refer to it throughout the day. You might be waiting in line to go outside, and you can practice some feeling faces or some breathing techniques that are in that center. So a child has familiarity with what that is. So when they need to be using that area to self calm, they're familiar with it and they know how to use it. And then you are there to help support it. Steph, what are some things you see happening?
I think it's important when we say it isn't working, it's we as the adult have to change our approach and our stance. So If it doesn't work for this child, I've heard that said. I understand that feeling. It doesn't feel like it's working. Really think about these things we're talking about because they will make it work. We've seen it done. And it's really about how we're coming into that space to teach it and making sure we have a healthy relationship with that child. If you do not have that, it's not going to work. And that's the root of all strategies. So if our relationship is we're coming in with an energy that's not going to support that dysregulated child, it's unlikely that it will calm. The other big thing I always say is making sure it doesn't look like a reading area, library center. Sometimes people have this other space that's a little bit mimicking of that. We really want it to be the things that Ellen just shared of making it rich and specific to how to take a dysregulated child or an upset, any kind of feeling they're having to a regulated state. That's the end goal. And the other big piece that we want to talk about is this isn't a chance for adults to practice choice language. So you have to have those posted and taught, not just posted, taught and understood of what children can do. Because what we will see happen is if you're sending children to that area for a behavior, whatever, insert whatever behavior is happening to calm and regulate, but their body's not ready, one of the reasons I've created often a let's move area in a classroom is because those children that have high aggression and anger and need physical movement, that is their way to release that. So as an adult, we don't want to be forcing children to a place of calm when their body is telling me I have all this energy to leave out. So now as the adult, you can give a choice to that child of you have a choice. You can move your body or do you need to calm your body? And you can help that child see what their body's doing related to that feeling. I can see your hands are like this and your face is so red and you look so mad. It looks like you really need to move your body. Do you need to pull the strings? Do you need to push the wall? Want to do some jumping jacks? What would be best for you? And so now there's choice. So as an adult where we for so long didn't really know, wait, this calming sitting isn't working for all children. That is true. It doesn't work in the moment for all children, but it will work if we teach them to get that energy out. Well, now they might be able to go there, but just getting a child to go there is really hard. And that's often when it doesn't work and it goes wrong. But it does work for all children when we individualize it for each child's needs. And
Thank
so
you
that's
for
a big,
sharing that.
yeah, yeah.
And Stephanie is laying out some beautiful groundwork for, what children need in a classroom. And if you as a teacher needs more support, we do have lots of videos posted that show you how to use these spaces in different ways so you can visually see what it is we're talking about. And we hope you take time to explore that tip sheet.